everybody. Welcome to Webinar Wednesday. My name is Martijn Lofvers. I'm the Chief Trendwatcher of Supply Chain Media. I'm also the Editor-in-Chief of Supply Chain Movement, a quarterly magazine, and also a bi-weekly newsletter. We have a huge LinkedIn group, I think 50,000 members. And I'm also the architect of the SCM IT Subway Map. And today we have a live webinar the coming hour, and we talk about how a supply chain platform on Google Cloud unlocks omnichannel success. And we will talk about AI, we'll talk about AI agents, we'll talk about disruptions in the world, how to deal with that. So we have an interesting live webinar coming up. So with me I have three experts. So from left to right, I have Jerome Pedreno. He is responsible for business development at the Reflex Supply Chain Execution portfolio, part of Hardis group. Jerome, hi.
Hello, everybody.
And next we have Frédéric Desgaudins. He is head of data solutions and AI pre-sales at Google Cloud in France. Hello, Frédéric.
Hello, everyone.
And last but not least, we have Thierry Denon. He is working at Capgemini. He's a consulting senior director, and he will talk about also supply chain consulting and that kind of stuff. Thierry, welcome. So a few things. So this webinar will be recorded and will be made available on YouTube. Also, you will be available to download the PDF of this presentation. The audience is on mute, and you have a few ways to ask questions. So you see on the right hand side, you see the chat functionality. You can chat with each other. We have a lot of people in the audience, but I will check the Q&A functionality. See the small text bubbles down below, down the chat functions. There you should ask the questions, and I will track these questions. If these questions are in line of the conversation I will be having, I will ask these questions immediately. If not, I will reserve the questions until the Q&A at the end. But luckily, if we have still some questions unanswered, there will be also an extra 30 minutes afterwards. So the four of us will be sitting down in the virtual lounge, like you see right here, and we will be sitting down at table 1, and you can join us and have some more conversation with the four of us. So as of now, I will put off our camera, and I will suggest that the other three will do the same. And as the audience, you can enlarge your screen to have a better view on the slides. All right. So, like I said, I'm the architect of the SCM IT Subway Map. You see it right here. I will make it brief. Basically, this is an overview of all the established supply chain software vendors in Europe. So ERP, WMS, TMS, etc. And they're on there based on their implementations. So this is more a proven technology, and you have all kinds of systems, so ERP, WMS, TMS. And of course, the Hardis group is also on it, and they ask us to create this webinar. And Reflex is one of the brands of Hardis group. So Jerome, maybe you can explain a bit more about the Hardis group and Reflex.
Yeah, thank you so much, Martijn. We started our WMS in '93, right? Reflex. So the company has always been owned by its management, first the founders, then the top management and the employees. And in this market of the supply chain execution solutions, because we will see that we don't just do WMS, we have three brands. Oil is the OMS we acquired last year. It's a Dutch originated company, and Zislog was the Spanish leader with more than 400 sites, and we acquired it at Atos 2 years ago, and it's more SMB oriented. And Reflex is the historic brand around WMS and some of the solutions we'll discuss. In this fragmented market, we are among the European leaders. We are all over the world, but still pretty European. There is American leaders and European leaders mostly. And we have in 25 countries our clients with a lot of very critical sites from South Africa to the States and China, factories, warehouses. And I'd say that for the moment, 90% of our sites are throughout Europe.
And maybe you can talk a bit more about the footprint of Reflex.
Yeah, sure. So we have been international for a long time now, as we started originally with the ancestor of Jigsaw. So immediately our first client for which we built Reflex was a very international 3PL. taking us away, bringing us with a lot of different companies, industries all over the world. Still, now we are, as you said, a 2,000 people company. We're not that huge. So we open subsidiaries step by step as soon as the business dictated. We're opening currently the States. Now it's the next region after Europe we're going to focus on in the coming years in terms of growth. And we have a lot of big partners, all local partners. The local ones are very much specialized in supply chain execution solution integration, and the big integrators such as TCS, Tata, Capgemini, IBM are working with us on the largest account that requires worldwide coverage.
Okay. Can you tell me a bit more about your customers? What kind of companies do you have as customers?
Yeah, so as I told you, we have something specific. We have among the biggest 3PL in the world working with us. So they bring us the most demanding people in the supply chain world. As an example, Jigsaw bring us the Amazon people around year 2000, and we learned a lot about e-commerce processes thanks to that. We have those people that are directly in our R&D. So for two reasons. The first one is that they need the best solution in the world and a very productive, intuitive one. Every time we create a new process, we discuss with them. We have shop floors in their warehouses to test it on different industries. Second thing is that these people, they meet, as I said, the most demanding supply chains in any industries. So that is why from Renault or Caterpillar factories to some big shops for DIY leaders, Leroy Merlin and Pharma, etc., we have solutions that can adapt to very different type of industry thanks to a very large standard, because these 3PL have been bringing us all these industries, and we had to think in the standard to put the essential processes for all these kind of industries. I think this is our real strengths. We have a very, very strong standard, functionally speaking. We have different strengths, but this one is really core.
If I look at all these logos, I see some 3PL companies, like you mentioned, but also well-known brands. So the larger ones, I see Pernod Ricard, but also I see fast-growing brands. So My Jewelry it's a Dutch brand growing rapidly, but also complex environments like H&M, and also I see Albert Heijn. So you see both 3PL and CPG kind of companies, but also industrial like Renault. So it's a widespread of customers. Maybe it's a complex world, I would say. Maybe you can say why we have this webinar, and then and what's happening in the world. Maybe you can explain a bit more about that.
Yeah, so there is a story. In this story, people that were running the PC shop for Amazon US entered Jeff Bezos' office and said, "Jeff, we have a big problem. There's this Taiwanese shop, on Amazon, and they are selling half price the same PC. So how can we compete?" And the story says that, I read it, Bezos told them, "You have two ways of getting out of my office. First one is getting fired. Second one is to realize that I am the market. I'm not a shop. And on this market, I need to have the best shops. So do what you have to do to stay among the best shops or leave my market." So we understood with the marketplaces, discussing with all our clients, that there was a huge disruption. Everybody could come there, sell, including you and me, Martijn, and be competitive. Okay. The people that were selling through their distribution channels were in the same time selling through the marketplaces. Cooking stuff leader, Seb in France, publicly said they were now selling more on marketplaces than on their traditional channels. Still, they have them. So it means omnichannel is the way to have all types of channel without cannibalization, okay? And people also can open 1, 2, 3 tabs on their navigator and choose whatever they want from different sites with the best pricing, with the best delivery, okay? This is completely disrupted. In this disrupted business world, the shadowcast must be a completely flexible supply chain execution. To ensure you do it profitably, it's a bit wordy what's below, you need really to have supply chain solutions that will help you to track at item level in real time everywhere, not only at your warehouse, but everywhere in your whole ecosystem. Maybe your supplier will dropship something from its supplier to your client, and that was brought on your marketplace, on your site, So it's something that you need to master thanks to very clever, very precise solutions. And the last thing, yeah.
No, I still remember what Jeff Bezos said when he was just starting Amazon. He said, I'm going to win this business battle by having the lowest cost in the picking in the warehouse of an SKU. That's what he talked about. He talked about SKUs and lowest picking costs in the warehouse because everybody can hire DHL or UPS. So we are going to win the battle in the warehouse with the lowest picking cost. So that's something that stick to my mind because of your story.
Yeah, you're right. All this is distant commerce. And when you go to the sites and you have comments on the orders, most of it is logistic and transportation. I received that on time or not, with a good quality or not. The return was easy or not. So it's essential. But there is also something very interesting. For a few years now, Walmart has been regaining market shares. They bought Jet.com. It was a small competition to Amazon. And then what did they do? They introduced a lot of solutions for logistics in their thousands and thousands of stores. Not only to give to their clients omni-channel services in the stores, but also to use all their stores as warehouses to gather and distribute marketplaces through what was Jet.com. So it means also, the frontiers are completely blurred between brick and mortar and digital. If you manage that, once again, you need to have this definite, a bit worldly supply chain below that will be completely multi-level, completely ecosystemic. And in the same time, able to track anything in real time at item level.
You will talk about later how to get there because we will also to other experts. So Thierry, maybe you can explain a bit more what Capgemini is doing in the supply chain.
Yes, thank you, Martin. Yes, I want to explain you, Capgemini and its 350,000 people across the world and all what we are doing, but just focus on supply chain. So since we have different practice, different practitioner, we have about 12,000 people all over the world, and we are able to tackle, from strategic work on supply chain. We still do network design, and we will see later on how this is changing now, until re-engineering and also implementation of different types of system, and we have engineers there that also help us on the integration, on the data management, and so on and so on. We also cross different sectors. So the good point that Jérôme mentioned, especially on the retail and CPR industry, we see also something moving to more manufacturing sectors, like even aerospace and defense and automotive. If you look at the spare part business, it's very close to what is happening now in the retail industry.
Yeah, and I think that in the CPG or CPR environment, direct to consumer is also a thing. So brands are creating their own entrances to consumers. So that's also what we see. All right. Thanks for this. Frederic, maybe you can explain a bit more about Google Cloud.
Sure. Thanks, Martin. Well, I think everyone know Google. We are building and delivering consumer product to billions of people every day in the world. And Google Cloud is really how you can use this technology, but in the context of your own enterprise, whatever the size, small company to very large one. And that is interesting because this is really all the innovation that we have built for our product that we deliver through cloud. So this is meaning a lot of stuff: infrastructure, development, data platform, security platform. and of course, agentic platform. But there is a backbone below everything, that is the AI. We are a data and then an AI company at Google, and all our product, all our services benefit from this innovation. And to run again this kind of innovation at the scale and at the cost that is compliant in your company context with the data that you have, etc., etc. So this is really Google Cloud, and we believe there is a lot of value to doing that on supply chain, as we already do with a lot of customers.
Yeah, and maybe you can extend a bit more about how you doing business in the supply chain today.
Yeah, sure. So as I said, we are working on AI for a long time, not from yesterday or 2 years, but for more than a decade, because it was key for Google to work with a lot of data, as you know, our products, and so to scale fast with AI. So from a decade again, we share a lot of innovation with the open source world to maximize the number of people working on that. Technology like Transformer, which are really the base, the technology base of the generative AI revolution 2 years ago, and many others alongside. And we believe that today, in 2025, this technology and the trend that we are seeing in the AI market today have very strong impact on what you can do on your world supply chain from a technology perspective. Maybe we will discuss that more in detail later, but when we talk about multimodal AI, we believe this can have superb impact on your supply chain processes. Multimodal is really how your AI can understand not only textual prompt, but as well images, complex documents with charts and tabs, or even videos from your warehouse, for instance, to better understand what's happening in your IT environment, and so to react directly on that.
I can imagine that it will have an impact in your claims environment with your products, returns, etc.
Exactly. It's really making it more faster, I will say, thanks to generative AI and this kind of topic. We also talk a lot about agent and multi-agent system, and your supply chain is already very multi, I will say, with a lot of point in your supply chain, a lot of partners as well. So we really believe in the way of different AI technology can work all together and connect all together to provide, again, the fastest and the best, the most trustable answer to your question. And the third point is security. Supply chain open is also very large, and also working with partners is open to many topics when we talk about security. And so we are also a strong player here, and we believe that AI can really help security in many aspects. So this is why those technology today are impacting, we believe, any supply chain actually.
So as Jerome also mentioned today, it's a lot of about partnership nowadays. You see in the IT world, it's not one system, but it's a whole ecosystem of system and partners. Maybe you can expand more about your partnership with both Reflex and Capgemini.
Sure. So with Reflex, we are working for some time together, and actually Google Cloud is a cloud provider for Reflex logistics. So when you deploy Reflex on the cloud, you are using Google Cloud behind as a technology provider for some time. And we especially accelerate our partnership last year, focusing on data and AI innovation to boost some features or streamline integration with the existing enterprise context. So today we have joint customer with Reflex, both on their on-premise or cloud deployment. These customers are also using Google Cloud technology for data, AI, compute, or other topics. And one of the latest news from some months ago is that Reflex Logistics Warehouse Management System, the WMS, is now available directly through the Google Cloud Marketplace, which is a key milestone for our partnership as well.
Yeah.
On Capgemini, we are working together as well for some times, and we build a specific joint supply chain go-to-market together last year in 2024. So the idea was really to mix business expertise from Capgemini consulting teams as well as data and AI technology expertise from both Capgemini and Google, of course, to speed up deployment of supply chain innovation. And as Thierry was mentioning, this is not only in retail or manufacturing, but also on manufacturing today, on transportation and other industries. And we build as well some technical assets together to speed up again the deployment to our joint customers.
So yeah, we will talk about the different kind of applications of AI in these different sectors. But before we get there, Thierry, maybe you can expand a bit more what's happening in the world. It's quite a disruptive world, but maybe you can make some sense of it.
Yeah. And also, I would like to introduce why we need more the data analytics and the AI in this world, because for sure supply chain we still have to deal with lead times, inventory levels, capacity, and so on, flow of products. But what we see is that all supply chain teams, they have to deal with new topics which were at the beginning not really in what we see and we could have seen in supply chains. First, the growing of regulations, especially in Europe. It's not only because the European Commission wants to bother all the supply chain guys, but also there's a request from the consumers to have more visibility and more knowledge about the products that they receive on their home. And in this sense, traceability and visibility is really something key. And when we say visibility, is really from the supplier and the supplier of the supplier. So this is adding some complexity. On top of that, we have the resource scarcity. The process has been more complex within companies. There's more flows, more products, more volumes, more topics to deal with, and from, I would say, basic requirements in terms of resources, we are looking more and more for professionals with higher degrees from different parts, but also at the warehouse level. And we see that there is really a requirement in terms of people when we have to face peaks. We spoke about warehouse. So for sure we see that we need operators, and sometimes they are lacking, and there is really a struggle when we have season peaks. But it's also true in more old manufacturing ways, because you need some specialized workers where the knowledge is gone, and it takes years to build resources. So you have to take that into account when you build your capacity plan. Everything around the financialization is more important. When I started my career, we were really focusing on quantity and hours, and now you need to integrate the financial part in most of the decisions that you take, and cost control is really something very very important. And the last part is what is happening in the world, on the political world, especially now we have the climate crisis, but at the moment we have climate crisis plus tariff crisis, and it makes the decisions that needs to be taken a bit more complex and a bit more rapid than what we have seen before. And for all of this reason, in fact, the basic supply chain IT landscape is not fulfilling anymore the requirements, and then we need to find new ways of doing things, new ways of accessing the data, and also new tools and new technologies that, for example, Google is bringing.
Yeah. So I have some conversations in the last few days with a lot of supply chain executive directors, and we talk about, of course, geopolitics, about tariffs, etc. But also very specifically on supply chain, they talk about: do we have a bonded warehouse in the USA? Do we see free trade agreements, etc.? So you have to be on top of these kind of details and this kind of visibility of your whole environment.
It's true. For example, when you say we outsource this activity, it can be logistics or it can be manufacturing to a company, then it was outsourced. But now you need to know a bit more about who you outsourced and how they practice and where they are and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jérôme, can you talk a little bit more about the needed IT landscape and what's at stake?
Yeah, sure. So to manage well e-commerce omni-channel, you require a supply chain platform. It means that if you go through different channels at the same time, you need also to follow that, orchestrate it through a layer, the top one, that is at networks level. So it's again this idea of ecosystem, not only your sites, but also those of your many partners, from the supplier part till the end clients that will be delivered. Because this is a requirement in order to have a real omni-channel capability. Okay, this is not only the shadowcast of business, this is an enabler. If you don't have that, you won't be able to process real omni-channel. And below this orchestration level, network level, I'd say, you have the execution, pure execution, that is more insight, I'd say, and in every type of sites. Okay, now it can be from very small hubs up to very heavily mechanized warehouses, plants, a lot of complexity. And for each of this kind of site, you need to have the right answer, because still you need to be very effective, very productive. And so sometimes you need very complex solutions, sometimes you need very simple solutions. And if you can provide all this in the same environment as a suite, then your client is able to have one software, to manage everything. If you put that on one of the best technology environment in the world, so-called Google Cloud, you can provide it worldwide with one SLA and localization all over the world, which is pretty important now to insert in global e-commerce, especially when you have some regionalization of the business.
And if you zoom in, how does it look like?
So, yeah, as I said, we started, as a simple WMS, not so simple, of course, but we just had this brick in our offer. It's the logistic execution part below on the left. And really, we went from there with our clients to any kind of sites, okay, because they were starting any kind of sites. And because, as I said, the factories realized they needed to have strong detailed logistics in this omnichannel world to dropship directly and to do some very precise stuff for end clients, some things they didn't know before. And then our clients said, oh, that's great, you're managing all our sites, so you need also to be strong on transportation between our sites. So on this part, it's very interesting. We started to put a lot of transportation functions, yet we are not a TMS. We partner with TMS like Shipio, for arrival timing, like Tesi Square for really managing the routes and the truck drivers and the trucks. But we do all that's important out of the route optimization and I'd say the pure TMS stuff for the loaders with our transportation. Then our clients told us, we have sometimes, just like in field management, few places we have stock in cars, we don't really manage stock, or we have some very specific things we have to do, like we must be sure that it's well received by the client or well received in our stores, at our partners. So we started to create also apps, based on a platform made for supply chain with a database with all the objects of the supply chains, the orders, the suppliers, the clients. So we started to have all the kind of execution solution, okay, but it's still on one solution, one database, to make sure that even if it's modular, even if our client can choose whatever they want, if they choose to have everything within Reflex, they can do it. And then we have the upper layer, all the collaboration and visibility, as I said, and maybe it's a bit detailed on the next slide. At this layer, what we see is something that will be far more collaborative than pure execution. It means that we have multi-enterprise chatting portals. It's a multi-tenant solution, whereas the execution is more monotenant, okay, especially on cloud for latency and efficiency reasons. And so here is a layer on which we really It's like a website you enter, you have the rights per management, you have public swaggers. So everything is done to collaborate and to control between partners in the ecosystem what's happening.
So if you look at the ecosystem a bit further, so can you explain, because it seems complex, but please explain.
Yeah, because when we say the world is going platform, we did the same for our offer. We did the same around us. Every day we see new robotics, new technologies, new softwares. It's always richer and richer, and so it's very important, as we intend to break silos within our clients' IT, to have a flawless supply chain, to do the same with our environment. We can't do everything by ourselves. So we make sure we are very open to the leaders, even from some of our competition from time to time. Our clients may say, we prefer your competition on this part, but we want you on that part. And we must be very open-minded to that in order to win the deal and to make sure that we are really bringing value. So also regarding all tier systems, all mechanizations, we are now completely open to any partnership. We work a lot with all this environment. And what is very important is to have people like Capgemini, because these people are integrators. So they bring a lot of different solutions, and they manage to put the glue between us at our clients. So more and more, the market will be using these integrators. They will pick up the right strategies. They will pick up the right technologies, okay, for the clients, to make sure that the client has the best-in-class technologies and is always in a continuous improvement in terms of solutions movement.
If I look at the visualization on the right hand side with the reflex in the middle, and I think an important thing is with a data lake, you make yourself more flexible with the surrounding applications. But it is also a question, which application is in the lead? Because I see other well-known names in it, and they could claim that they are in the lead and they are in the middle. So why should reflex in the middle? When is it the most important thing for customers to put reflex in the middle as the core for their logistic execution?
Well, first, this is the reflex presentation. So
Yeah, of course.
that is why I'm a bit reflex centric, of course. Everybody will get that. Then, no, there is also very, very strong offers in our market and at our competition. But I think we really have something very, very thorough, yet modular. I don't hear a lot of people talking about hubs, stores, factories, about all this everywhere logistics stuff we provide to our clients. So I'd say this is something really still different we have compared to our competition. And maybe this is why we can be a little bit in the center.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So, and maybe you mentioned briefly, we see a lot of mechanization and robotization needed because of the aging populations. Maybe you can explain a bit more what kind of role you are playing in that field.
Yeah, there is aging. There is also a movement that is always been, to reduce penability. Some jobs are very difficult, and if they are done by robots, maybe it will be a better thing. We always think about how it will destroy jobs, but it's also bringing a lot of comfort to very difficult jobs. And we have also a question of productivity. We really saw now, especially with robotics, AMR, goods to man, very efficient solutions with low prices. So it's just that human can compete in order to the client to remain competitive now sometimes. And as 80% of the market is going cloud, we'll still have, we still offer on premise. We have specific logistics from time to time for the French National Bank, as an example, or for defense stuff, or just some people, in their factories, they want their own servers. Still, it will exist. But 80% or 90% of the market, we see it going to the cloud and the SaaS right now. That's happening. And these people, we must make sure that there will be no latency problems. This is why we are working also with such a powerful technology environment as Google Cloud, Because when you have a lot of mechanization doing critical flows in real time, well, man, you really need to have no problem in the network and no problem in the latency. And that's what offer Google's cloud through its power, but also through the fact that you always have very strong backup solutions with other data centers, with different networks. Okay, so you have no latency and you have a huge reliability. This is something mandatory. Otherwise, you can have a lot of problems with going clouds.
I see. Traditionally, warehouses were mainly serviced by applications on premise, and you saw already a lot of integration difficulties with the automated warehouses, and some parts were high bay automated warehouses, where other parts were manual, and it has to be integrated. So this latency is a enormous important thing, that you are totally secure that you don't have any latency in that part. So I think I recognize that even warehouses should go to the cloud, but when you have robots and mechanized stuff and manual operations next to each other, you should be integrated in such a way there's no latency. The cloud, so companies are still on premise, but the tendency is to go to the cloud. But what about security?
Well, one of my most on-premise client, when our most on-premise clients spent actually last year 2 weeks with data in North Korea, which was not very easy to work, and if you are not protected right now by all the what you can find on a world-class cloud, such as the Google one, with the SOC 123, ISO 27001, etc. We have been hiring, I don't know, tens of people just for security in the last 12 months. You'll be seen as a soft target by all the pirates and the wolves hunting the digital world. So it's very, very, very important for companies to understand that they need to have a very strong everyday protection. And the Google teams every day are assessing all the threats, working on it. And I think Frederic told it a bit earlier, with all the AI jumping in, it will become more and more powerful in terms of security, which will become really mandatory. And we see a world that is more aggressive. I won't draw a picture right now. And so European companies everywhere, especially European companies now, need to see that Google is a European player in Europe, following European rules with European data centers, and ready to help them and secure their competitiveness at worldwide level.
Yeah. Maybe you can expand more about Reflex on Google Cloud data. What does it bring?
Yeah, data, of course, is key in order to, through the control tower and the dashboards, manage everything in real time in a very efficient way. More and more, also, we will project what will be needed in terms of people, in terms of means to be more effective tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, next week. Our order management system will melt probably a little bit with the demand management systems to make sure that with our what if scenarios, to choose where to prepare the order, to mix it with what are the transportation and logistics possibilities, what is the right level of stock on each point, because it can vary. All this linked to what we have seen with mechanization, with a lot of sites everywhere, requires a lot of data to be processed. And so, once again, being in such a melting pot in terms of technology, such as Google, allow you to directly plug your solutions on very powerful stuff like the Vortex and the BigQuery.
So I think an important thing about this slide is, having real-time dashboards on the warehouse floor, because you will see in warehouse environments when you have a lot of peaks, uncertain peaks, unexpected peaks on one hand, and the control tower having an overview on a management layer, what's happening, is also very powerful. And I think that's an important thing to mention. So Frederic, can you explain more from your point of view what Google Cloud can bring to the supply chain?
Sure. Yeah. Just following the topic on the data, it's clearly a key point. And as you said, in your modern supply chain, this need to be as fast as possible, to have as fast as possible your data ready, your visibility ready in your control tower, real-time data to track your stuff alongside your whole supply chain. And one of the main challenge that we see on that is that, of course, your supply chain is very diverse. And so you need to integrate different data sources. We need to integrate existing data sources and sometimes legacy data sources. And this is really where we are helping our customer, where we are helping technologies as well, like Reflex, of course, to integrate different data sources and provide a unified view of this data. This is again the DNA of Google. When we build our technology, we used to integrate different data from different products, and we scale this to the enterprise. And this is the technology that we call BigQuery, that help our customer to integrate their data at new scale and at new speed, more data and faster, basically. And what is very also important versus on-premise technology, but also versus more classical cloud technology, is to make it very efficient in terms of cost, because you cannot innovate if you are spending too much on this kind of technology. So TCO are very important in this area, and you want to track more assets, I will say, alongside your value, your supply chain. You want to do it faster. You want to do it at new speed and in real time. You want to have the data available to not only to your users, but also to partners in a secure way. And security, you was right, Jerome, is a key point as well of this kind of solution. But you need to do all of this at the good price ratio, so it is compatible with the size of your business and with your existing IT environment. So this is what BigQuery, Google Cloud BigQuery is for.
Yeah, and I like, you mentioning that you have a whole mix of data being converged in this BigQuery unified platform, because that's very important.
Data is very diverse in the supply chain, both as an input but as well as an output, because if you have all the data in one place but you cannot use it including in your legacy application, you have an issue. So this is what this kind of technology is doing.
So Frederick mentioned already briefly, but Thierry, there's a big elephant in the room called AI. Maybe you can explain what are the use cases you see from Capgemini for AI and supply chain.
Actually, all this the slide, all these use cases are true ones that we have used. But if I want to to also build on what Frederick said, if we mix AI with diversity of data, we would take really two topics. One on the sourcing and procurement part, and as based on the discussion we have today, everything about sourcing, the risking, and the purchasing price. When you say the purchasing price is as an overall, so the price of the material plus the logistic cost plus the cost of custom and tariffs. So how do we first take our network of suppliers and suppliers of suppliers? So we have more and more work in the space of multi-tier sourcing, the risking. So here AI would help us, to take at least to show risk analysis and risk coverage, but also to propose already alternatives when possible. So this is one area where, with AI manipulating lots of data in a complex external world, we can take the best decision. And then when we look at the world of logistics, as Jérôme also mentioned, we have in the middle, logistics becomes more and more collaborative. So especially in the world of back office, supply chain back office, customer services, that needs to work with the logistics and the sales guy, for example, to manage claims or customer requests. Then you need to get data from the WMS, from the transportation, from the ERP, from the CRM, so that you are able to first answer the question of your customer, but also try to be a bit more efficient in the way you make the link between all the data, and then propose the best action. And we'll see, I think afterwards when we'll speak about agents. So the use of agents will adding to what we already know on AI will allows more dynamic allocation of tasks and find solutions.
What I see, especially in the last few days, there's a lot of appetite for. Usually, it was called network design, but it's quite static. Where to put my warehouses and my factories? It's now becoming more dynamic. Do I have alternatives to reschedule through a different route, to a different country, through a bit bundled warehouse, through US to Canada, etc. So that's also one of the AI option I see.
And we have and the point is also that we need to add some data in the decision taking that we didn't have before, like the the THD or CO2 footprint. Also, do I have to go to countries where the ethics is maybe not there? And of course, now you need absolutely to include the tariffs part, which makes it a bit more complex to handle, especially for I would say typical operational research algorithm. So and secondly, you need to have models which are much more flexible if you want to add constraints, not on the fly, and we shouldn't dream, but at least in a more agile way than once a year or twice a year.
Yes, right. Jerome, you are responsible for WMS and more, but at Reflex. But maybe you can explain how is Reflex applying AI?
Yeah, sure. First, we have been doing AI for a long time. It's very popular now, but we have strong mathematicians in our R&D with logistic people, and they have been developing a lot of very powerful algorithm to have waveless WMS, meaning, it's mandatory in e-commerce as an example. We manage sites that in e-commerce we're topping 1 million order a day for last Black Friday. So you have automatic mission assignment in terms of regroup an order that was not fully taken in a wave. Okay, if 10 minutes before the wave someone is buying article 1, 10 minutes after the wave someone is buying article 2, you need to be able to regroup that. And also you need to be very, very productive by having an overview of current operational timing, either from manual resources and mechanization resources, to allow all the missions the best way. This is what we call order flow balancing. It means that for making sure we meet the cutoff, maybe we will prioritize this or that mission, and we will alert people that they need to reinforce this or that part of the warehouse or of the plant. It can be also for production. And this is based on very powerful machine learning engine we have built, and we're refining version after version. So in the background, systems like Reflex have been doing AI for many years now.
Yep.
We also have at the shop floor level a lot of augmented operators right now, technologies coming with many partners like Scandid. Zebra is a strong partner, and through this little Android device we are doing more and more stuff to make life easier for operators. We also have a lot of robots becoming more and more clever. And so here again, the very powerful Vertex AI help us to work with our partner in robotization to make sure that all the datas are well taken into account by the Reflex solution. And also we are more and more entering a no-code world in which people can do a lot of stuff about parametering it. That's our philosophy of competency transfer to the people, because it's an everyday solution to be overwatched. And this means that all the generative AI really helping us to provide through our online help and e-learning platform a lot of help to our clients, so they are very autonomous as much as possible. And 2 times a year, we deliver new functions in a continuous improvement mode. They will be allowed to understand and test even better thanks to generative AI.
Maybe you can a bit more talk a bit more about how you can help operators.
Yeah. Another part of our choice of Google as a worldwide partner, and as Frederick said, that we're the only WMS, by the way, on the Google Marketplace. So, shall people want to start a commit with Google, Reflex is a good way to do it in terms of supply chain solution, at least. And we also have strong partner with Zebra. Okay, Zebra is a leader in the world of hardware, and different companies to use all the Android part of the GANs, of the equipment on the shop floor, to provide a lot of help to do some very simple stuff, but very, very productive improvements in terms of scanning. You do a lot of scanning in a warehouse or in a factory, and now you can capture the data in a far easier and better way, be it for dimensioning, being only for scanning a barcode. Okay. Also, we are working a lot with video in order to assess where things are, if they are moving or not, if there is a problem. All this is made easy thanks to Android intent that will allow us, but also all the hardware partners, to develop some stuff in Reflex to help our clients. So we are opening more and more all the shop floor part of Reflex so that people can really put some technologies and develop by themselves small applications to help on the shop floor people to be more productive, because still productivity is mandatory in our business.
Frederick, maybe you can also expand a bit more about what Google Cloud can offer in AI in supply chain.
Sure. Yeah. When we talk about AI, we like to talk about AI platform to implement the use cases that Jerome was mentioning just now. And as he said as well, we are doing a lot of AI on this topic for a long time, even before, of course, the generative AI era, we all know. For forecasting, for instance, we used to use this platform to refine forecasting, and this is also changing this last month with new model, which are AI model, which are much more faster, that can bring much more data to have much more accurate forecasting, leveraging again your first-party data, but as well third-party data. And this is a game changer with more granularity, more prediction. And we can also leverage generative AI this time, and not classical AI, but to better understand complex documents. And this can have impact directly when you are working with your suppliers. Thierry was mentioning supply chain de-risking. When you are dealing with compliance, with code of conduct for your supplier, is very interesting to manage, understand at scale many kind of complex documents. Generative AI can help on that. And the same generative AI can help to better understand images and video, to check compliance in a shop floor, for instance, in a plant or in a store, like for safety compliance, for instance. So to do that, the technology that our customers are using are our Google own generative AI model, like Google Gemini. And it's shining with the multimodal capabilities I was highlighting before, and that we are highlighting here as well when we talk about understanding images and videos, for instance. And as the other technology we already talked about, the price performance ratio is also very important. And what is also maybe less known is the platform to manage different kind of model, because we believe that you can answer to your use cases with not only one model, but different kind of model. We love that you use Google own model, but you can use as well other model to be totally to scale to all your use cases. And Vertex AI is a technology that allows you to manage more than 100 model, different kind of model, to fit all your use cases, again, with the best performance cost ratio and a faster time to market when you test your model, etc., etc. So this is really the technology that we are seeing on the market being implemented at many parts of our customer supply chain.
So what was quite interesting to me is, the AI-based forecasting, in supply chain is traditionally it was about historical forecasting based on your sales from the last few years, etc. But the dynamic of the market has changed, so historical forecasting is not that of use anymore. You need more data. You need external data, maybe the weather or some competitive data, pricing data, and that's related to your third-party data. That's becoming more and more important. How to integrate it in your own forecasting.
And Vertex AI can mix all this classical AI, I will say, like for forecast, and generative AI in one platform, again, to lower your total cost of ownership of this kind of technologies.
So, and lately there's a lot of talking about agents, AI agents. Maybe you can talk about more about that topic.
Yes. So agent is really what we're talking about today, but again, it's a reality for some times already. Is really this kind of AI application that not only allow you to converse with AI as we are all doing now today, but also a way to have the AI reasoning. So going a bit deeper, explaining all the reasoning to fix a problem, to mitigate an issue that you have found in your supply chain, and that also can act directly not only with your data but directly with your existing application. We was talking a lot about data today to integrate that different data sources. Now you can also with agent interact with multiple applications of your supply chain and act really taking action like placing an order, shipment order, or updating a system with new stock level, for instance, because of a discussion. So this is really more automation that can be real time, that can be in the background as well. And what is key in the technology we provide is really about being able to work with different agents. I was saying that it's important that in your supply chain, you may be able to deal with different AI model. You need also to deal with different AI agents, sometimes coming directly from some applications. And again, you have agents everywhere now. And tomorrow morning on the procurement area regarding your sales, but also inside your warehouse, your store, or in customer care area. And to do that, what we are proposing at Google is what we call agent space. So it's a platform that includes not only some Google AI agent to work on document or doing enterprise search alongside your supply chain, but it is also a tool that allow you to configure yourself your own AI agent, and that allow you as well to connect different agents from third party as well together and govern them. And we believe this is key, again, in a supply chain area where you are working with a lot of partners, with a lot of different technologies, and when we need to govern all that stuff to make it efficient.
Yeah. So to my understanding, we have seen in the last 5-10 years robotic process automation. So you don't want to retype an email into your ERP or other way around, or with EDI. I think, but that is more dynamic. So RPA is more strict to a certain process, whereas the agents are more flexible, connecting with different kind of systems and different kind of processes.
Exactly, and you have this in the middle of a conversation as well that is much more easy to use basically by all user users alongside your supply chain. So yes.
Yeah. So to wrapping up, we're almost out of time, but maybe Thierry, you can go through quickly the evolution of supply chain and where does it lead us to?
And it's more evolution of the digital supply chain. So
yes,
coming back from a world where each application was behind the other, and then trying to build this linear supply chain with low flexibility. Now we are in a world where there is bigger maturity, what we call the digital core. You have, we spoke a lot about the WMS connected to WCS. We have ERP, APS, but then it remains quite inflexible when you have to meet some unexpected events. And with what Frederick has just explained, so we are moving to this intelligent automation world. So that when you have a certain landscape, the connection between the different applications will evolve, and also will be much more easier for the users, so that they don't need to know, okay, I need to go to my SAP here, I need to go to my Reflex there. I just want to know where is my shipment, and based on that, we will have the ability to get the data wherever it is. But also across the different applications and internal and external. So this will have, and we have not measured, I think, fully yet. I'm doing lots of transformation. So what is the impact of the operating models? How can we improve them fully using the capabilities that we have on our hands now? But of course, it's lots of change management, especially we have to reskill lots of people and how to use those tools.
Yeah. When I look at this, I hear a lot about changing your operating model, and in the old days, you have a hard time because you have to re-implement your ERP environment. You don't want to do that. So what we see now, the more advanced companies, they have applied a data layer, and they have their system of record, their ERP environment, and on top of that, they are more flexible to change their operating model and to apply different kind of application in the new world.
Yeah, and also in the role of the people, because you had the logisticians, they are allowed to do that. Okay, the manufacturing guys are allowed to do that, and the customer service, they can do that. But now tomorrow is I'm customer service. I want to know, from a PO which is late, which will impact in the end the manufacturing and my customer orders. So this is something that also requires a change in the way the operations are managed and governed.
All right. Thanks for this. We're running out of time, so we are already on the hour. So I have some questions, but I would like to suggest to wrap it up here, because the good news is we have an extra 30 minutes right after this. So if one of you in the audience or all of you in the audience would like to discuss more with the four of us, please join us right after this, within a minute. So we will be sitting down in the virtual lounge, and you will be able to talk to us directly sitting at table 1. So please join us if you have some more questions, and of course we get in touch if you have otherwise some needs. There's way more information here. You see direct links. You will get it by downloading the PDF of the presentation. You see the IT supplement map. Reflex has an interesting white paper about e-commerce logistics in this day and age. Google Cloud has an interesting industry guide for supply chain, how to use that in their environment. And finally, Capgemini has an interesting white paper on generative AI in the supply chain nowadays. So with this, there's a lot of more stuff to read. And for now, I would like to thank Cherry, Frederic, and Jerome. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everybody, for being here.
And I would like the audience for watching us, and thank you for joining us either live or with the recording. And like I said, please join us in the virtual lounge right after this if you have more questions to the four of us. Thanks for now, and I hope to see you next time. And I say bye-bye.